This is Dominic Singh at the Worley Bugger Fly Shop, continuing with our video fly tying series. Today I'm going to show you a secret bass fly of mine. It's really shines in the heavy pond structure that I'm often fishing. A lot of times with big bass, especially in this area, they hold really tight structure. And it's a common misconception among fly fishermen that a lot of times when they're in that heavy a structure, the only way to get them is with heavy gear. And you hear that from a lot of gear guys too, talking about fly fishermen. And that really doesn't have to be the case with a lot of technology that we have now, especially weedless hooks. So this fly utilizes a Texas rig hook made by Ahrex, and that it really just changes the game on how you fish for bass in heavy structure. So this is a fly that on a floating line you can slither over weed mats or algae. You can fish it into some of the heaviest tree structure and not worried about it getting caught up on any branches. And it utilizes a curly tail to give it some really excellent action. All right, to start this fly, you want just a straight shank to tie on. It doesn't have to be anything special. This was just a really weak jig hook that I cut off, and you just need a strong ring there for the eye. You could use a straight eye streamer hook, you could use a micro shank, you could even just bend a piece of wire. But just get some thread started on that loop. This is the 8/0 from Vivis. That small diameter thread will come in handy later. Now I'm going to take one of these Kylie's spiked slow roller tails. These are really cool tails to use. They're super strong, made out of this really strong latex, and they move really well in the water, that curly tail action. So just take the tab here and tie that in loosely. Thread doesn't cut into this material at all, so you can tie that down pretty tight. Trim it off there and tie your knot. So I'm going to take this out of the vise and just trim that wire as close as you can to that eye. Catch the tail. So now we're ready to start on the main hook. This is the Ahrex Texas Predator hook in the 1/0. So this is a Texas rig hook, which means that it's weedless as long as the belly of that hook is facing downwards. So when you tie this, or when you fish this, it'll just glide over the weeds, over any structure. So I'm positioning that hook with the eye facing downward and getting that thread started on the very bend here. I still want to leave a little gap right where that bend is, where the fish's lips will actually be once this hook is driven in. And I'm going to just create a little base there on the side. You want this tail to be right in line with that hook eye if possible, so it doesn't kick the fly off or anything. And now I'm going to take some ultra wire, large size or medium, and you want to just bend this. I have one pre-made here. You want to bend this to be just a little hook keep shape like this. It's just a little bend in the wire, round, and then two ends that you can tie off. Just tie one foot down like that. Now take your tail on a ring here and slide that onto the wire. Cross the thread over and catch that other foot. That. Just want to make sure it's fastened down securely. Bring it forward here, and now tie just a really wide knot to cover over that entire hook. Right. So that is our tail fully tied in there, perfectly in line with that hook eye. I'll just wiggle the entire time as you're stripping this through. Now I'm gonna put this hook in from the end of the shank up so I can tie on this very top eye. And all the thread of this fly is just on this top part of the shank. So with this one tie-in point, you can have a really, really durable fly by covering this up. So all the thread is just concentrated on this one little part, and the fish aren't even going to hit that. Not that bass tear up flies too much, but after enough of them, they sure do. Now I'm going to take some bucktail. And this bucktail serves a couple purposes. Mainly it's just to keep something stiff here to deflect the tail from fouling here. So otherwise this tail can foul that hook. It also serves as an excellent weed guard. If you're fishing this in really heavy slop, having all this hair here really deflects the weeds off that hook point. And it also puffs out all the materials that we're tying in later. So it doesn't need to be excellent quality bucktail. You'll see here I have all the, just pretty much what's left after you're selecting all of the natural fur there, the prime stuff. I'm gonna take this and just measure it back so it kicks back behind the tail here. Trim that. Tie it down securely. So I have a decent amount of bucktail covering that very top point. I'm going to also take some and flare it around this underside. Just tie the butts in backwards for this. And we're using thin thread like this. Just kind of take your time and ease the tension on it. Don't put it all on at once. Right. So now I have some bucktail flared out on either side. Now I'm going to add some Flashabou. I like mixing up the flash on this fly. Just gives it a lot of different sizes and colors, variations on it. Kicks out the movement a lot. So this is micro Flashabou, gold. Take a few strands of this. I'm gonna double it over and then tie short butts in, facing backwards. And then splay them all 360 degrees around that hook. So here's where having that thin thread really comes in handy, because you're only tying on that one shank. You want that thin thread to be able to keep that head fairly small. So that flash is puffed out nicely. I'm going to mix up the colors a bit, put some barred copper as well. Excellent, excellent color. Now I'm going to take some of this voodoo fiber. It's the black barred tan. This just adds really nice natural barring. It's not flashy, just has really excellent movement. Secure that down. All right, now just make sure that flash isn't too long so it doesn't foul the tail. So now I'm ready to tie the final collar head here. And for that I use some craft fur. This is the medium brown. I'm using fairly long craft fur for this first part here. Tying it in, butts back. Folding it back on itself here. This just adds a lot of nice soft movement up near the front of the head. Gives the fly some traction too when it's darting through. You can tie this with or without a tail. If you tie some long hackles in the back, you can get a really good side-to-side kind of walk dog action. This curly tail is really good for just burning through weeds. So I'm also going to tie in a little belly color. I have some yellow craft fur here. I'm using some of the shorter stuff. Same way there. Fold it back. You can fold it over that little arm there. Just keep the material completely spiraled around that hook. And at this point, I'll start shaping the head how I want. You want just a bit of a taper, but you still want that thread to grip and you don't want it to slip towards the eye. Like that. I'm going to add just one more there to keep it natural on the top. Right. And you can see I'm having some thread slip there, so just to temporarily fix that, I'm adding some super glue. Just touch that quickly and make it cure. And now the thread's held in place, so you can tie off quickly. All right, so now we're going to add some eyes. These are the 5mm fish skull living eyes. And these I do add just a bit of super glue, the first part, get them situated right. Give that a little bit of time to cure. And I'm going to cover up all that thread and the eyes with some Flex Solres. It's a nice thick UV resin. You have a lot of time to work with it, and it helps to fill in the gap between those eyes really well. Put a bunch of that on top, and I'll rotate the fly to the bottom here. Also going to cover the eyes. Just give that a moment to smooth out there. And once the resin looks the way you want it to, do it with that light. And that is the finished Bushmaster. It's a completely weedless bass fly. Fishes great in the heaviest of structure. Don't have to worry about it fouling or snagging, and really helps get that fly exactly where those big bass are hiding. Tight structure. You can fish it over complete weed beds without fouling or snagging at all. Thanks for joining us for this pattern. All materials are available at our website, so give us a call or order online, and hope you get to fish this summer.